Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me as always is
Lieutenant Cam, last of the Negro Hikins. I know Black Papi.
as well as
I'm not even trying to follow that up, Josh. Oh, hey, what's up?
and as always,
Professor, what's up, everybody?
and we are back talking about the House of Boys. We're basically gonna talk real quick about
Boys.
which is pod.
Sounds
But
right.
I mean, I could have said the Dragon of House of Drag Boy. I'm trying to put them together. Like
Dragon Boy?
Dragon Boy. That just doesn't sound better. Either way, this is all of it. Either way, we're talking about House of Dragon and the boys. It's we have about a couple episodes on each left, but we've all been like watching it at our own paces and that kind of stuff. But we wanted to chime in before it wrapped up. It's been really good television basically on screen right now. We're gonna start with the boys. A couple of things. The boys just announced that they are wrapping after this next season, which is to me and all of us, I think that's a great thing. Just because you're basically signaling, hey, there's a middle, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. We're not just gonna keep doing it just because of money. Blah 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 blah. Shout out to Kripke about that. And then also I would say we are also on the House of Dragon has about 2 more episodes left, and shit is getting crazy per usual, sir. But we're gonna start with that, boys. So far for this season, fellas, what do you guys think? The boys, how has it been? How's it been?
I'll start. So far, it's been pretty good. It's been the usual, crazy hijinks that you come to expect from the boys. Borrowing that kind of gross, almost juvenile humor, but not, but it comes in the form of parody. So, it's acceptable juvenile humor in some cases, but, it's really good. You could tell that they are really building towards their climactic finish. And I think even before it was announced that season 5 would be the final season, you could feel that they were moving towards something that was, that looks like, okay, this is the finale. We've taken these characters on this journey, and this is where it ultimately culminates. And you have felt it in Gen V, and I think there's a lot of shows that are kind of doing that shared world and intersecting the arcs or whatever. We've been seeing that for the last 20 years in TV, and film or whatever, where these 2 stories are trying to overlap. They did a really good job of establishing a strong base of storytelling in Gen V that you didn't really realize it was kind of leading towards the bigger picture, bigger scope narrative of the boys overall.
Yeah,
and that was a really good. They made a really good transition from the end of Gen V into the boys, and kept that going. And neither one took away from the other. There were Gen V characters that have appeared as of episode 5. The protagonist / antagonist, I guess, if you will, from that show. And so now it's just interesting to see how they fit into the obvious Homelander and the singularity of trying to kill him or joining him to, subjugate humanity.
Yeah, and like my thing was the boys for season 1. I would say the book is better than season 1 in terms of like what they established, and then by season 2, Kripke was like put his foot in it, and now like it's like from season 2 on, the series is better purely because what Kripke did was he really fleshed out every character, so they're not just one note. And the boys in the comics, like the book is about the boys, all the heroes and everyone, all the soups, they're all one note characters. They have very simple motivations. They're all assholes. They all suck. You don't have any feelings for them whatsoever besides they suck. And then I say in the show, they did a really good job of even if they suck, they have a little bit of more of a motivation about why and how they got there, whether the trauma or this or that, blah, 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 blah. But I thought Kripke did a great job of taking the foundation of the boys and really fleshing out a full-on lived-in world that makes it interesting every time they come back to. And I think that's what audiences are responding to, because, like I said, the show is about the boys, but then the heroes are getting just as much shine and just as much attention that, you know, the boys will be getting in the comic books. And so, like, to me, this is one of the best adaptations from a comic to a TV series, purely because someone took the foundation and built even better upon it. And I think they did a really good job with that. And so now, even if you don't like the character, you know everything about it from top to bottom. And even the villains are in that, like the way they did Stormfront, even Firecracker, and like those types of characters where it's like they're pretty one note in the comic, but in the TV show, they give them a little bit more depth about why their motivations are and what they do. And again, that just goes back to good storytelling and good writing. And so it makes you like, yo, this person sucks and I hate them, which is great as a person that's telling the story, because you want people to have a visual reaction to your characters. And I thought the boys, as gross as it gets, and then, like, you know, the immature humor and all that, they keep people coming back because you actually care. You really want to see what the hell happens. Like, oh, Homelander is psychotic, but why is he psychotic? Oh, that's why he's psychotic? I don't like him, but I'm still going to watch.
Yeah, at this point, you want to see when he gets hit. You know, like, he is that character. And I think that's also why the show is strong in its writing, because we see so many shows that are based on comic stories where the main villain or the main antagonist, more appropriately it's called for a TV series, is constantly changing from season to season, you know, like, but to have a primary antagonist and one that, you know, each season is about the challenge of trying to take him down whilst also trying to not be killed by him is what made the writing dynamic. Because each season you're wondering how the boys going to do their thing and also avoid catching lasers from Homeland, or, like, you know, a fist through the chest. And that's what's been the bright spot of, and like you said about the comparison between the source material to the comic book, because it's uniquely written to do that into the TV show. You know, if the Walking Dead had taken a similar tack, it might not have ended in the way it did, or, you know, went on for as long as it did.
Man, listen, Walking Dead, yo, I was on it for maybe the first 2 seasons, and then I would just come back for key moments. I'm like, is Negan there yet? No? All right, I'll come back 2 seasons. Did they kill all the black people yet? No? All right, I'll come back in season 6. Like, I just didn't care at this point. It was a money grab at this point. Fear the Walking Dead, they did a better job, but then it just ended up in this thing.
I mean, they ruined it. They changed showrunners. Kirkman left, and Dave Erickson left, and
everybody left.
Yeah, it went from being an honest, serious attempt at creating something that existed in the world but was different from the Walking Dead experience. And then they put it in the hands of these 2 guys that turned it into a Western with zombies. So there you go.
Talk about it.
Well, I would say, you know, the thing the boys have done great is, again, it goes back to what they've been doing with all Kirkman properties, Amazon anyways, like with Invincible and with this one, where they've been staying true to the foundation of what the story of the comic was and then building upon it. And I think that's like their main thing. And even with Homelander, and then I love that Kripke had to like call out all the racist people, be like, yo, dog, this dude's not the protagonist. Like,
he's not redeemable. He's not a redeemable person. That's not where we're going for, you know, because there's an element of that in the source material based on the way it ends. But he's already said, you know, we're not ending this that way, because, and I get it, because TV is different from a comic book. And also that ending takes away, it does not allow Homelander to be held responsible for the things that he's done. And that's why it cannot happen in the TV show.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, even Anthony Starr came out and was like, if you idolize any element of the character Homelander, something's wrong with you. Like, don't emulate or give a thumbs up to anything about this guy. He's irredeemable. Like, he's written this way on purpose so that he can be revolting to you. And if you're not revolted by this guy, something's wrong with you. Like, you're not normal. Like, don't big this dude up. Like, it's weird. But I mean, the show is excellent. You know, overall, I haven't started with season 4 yet. I can't wait to. But you know, it's a great send up of all the superhero tropes. It turns everything that you know about the superhero genre on its ear. Under the semi premise of, you know, if these guys were real, what would they really be like? And you know, if you had a Superman, the likelihood is, if he was raised among us jerk humans, the likelihood is, you know, he'll realize that he has absolute power, and as the saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So Homelander is that guy. Makes total sense. And everything that happens underneath him, you know, and above him, a corporation controlled, past tense, controlled him up until Giancarlo Esposito's character made his exit as the head of Vought Industries. But yeah, like that to me screams real world. Like, you know, there's a face to the corporation, and the corporation is very much a media savvy, media controlling organization that puts out a very specific line and a very specific yarn about who they are, how they are, what they are. And then there's the behind the scenes. And as we know, with any scenario involving corporations, there's at least, you know, especially mega corporations that just have no check and balance on how they do what they do. Of course, there's going to be some sort of corrupt element behind it. And I don't say that as a cynic, you know, that's D'Angelo's job. But I mean, I as someone who's not that cynical, it still makes sense because we see it all the time. There's always some sort of malfeasance, some sort of ill intent, some sort of, you know, something stupid that corporations do because nobody's looking, nobody's checking them, nobody's stopping them. So, you know, it's a great example of art imitating life, in my
and honestly, that's kind of like the whole point of the show, where like they it's not even, it's on the nose of how like on the point is it. Like they were talking about Stormfront, the character, and then the book it's a racist white dude, blah 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 blah. But in the show they twist it, it's a chick, and then they also like lean heavily on the like Stormfront, the website, which is a white supremacy website. And so it's like they're doing these things super blatantly, and then it's comedy that people still don't see it.
Well, yeah,
they see it and they don't care.
Yeah, go ahead, Cam.
So you just reminded me, because I've yet to catch up where you guys are at. But Starfront was in season 2. She was the new character that came as super racist.
Yeah. And that became a thing where they would introduce each season a new hero / antagonist would come in addition to.
Okay, because you just reminded me where I left off. I think I'm on season 3. That's where I start. Because I remember her character, and then the big, you know, her and Homelander had this thing going on. I remember that whole. So I just, being so far removed from the boys, I just had to remind myself where I left off, because I was gonna interject and say, "Oh, I watched the animation, but I confused Invincible animation with this."
And honestly, the you know, to what they've been doing and with almost all of Kirkman type or not even Kirkman properties, but like these type of properties is like they're trying to essentially be the anti-MCU, essentially, where they're really trying to make sure that they keep these things grounded in a sense of reality, but then it's still fantastical. And so, you know, Invincible has that same thing where it's like it's a typical suits and capes type thing, but it has consequences. You know, The Boys is like, you know, they have tropes on, you know, Superman and all these different types of characters, but in the same time, they try to make it like morality and what would happen if Superman was psychotic, essentially. And so the one thing I enjoy about these types of shows is that aspect of it. Like they're trying to flip the trope on its head and then give you something a little bit different. And so you think about it a little bit different. I think they've done a pretty good job overall about it.
Yeah, I think I was going to say The Boys, being that it's parody and satire, it does a good job of paralleling what's happening in society. You know, take the takedown of the way Vought is presented is a skewering of the way Disney and the MCU is in society currently, and the way that they the influence that they have, the hold on box office and all things. So you feel that parody, you feel that when you see it on screen. And I think one of the best parts about this season is that they've even managed to bring in the sort of political debates that are dividing people, such as abortion issues, and what's happened with that recently in Supreme Court decision to strike down Roe v. Wade. So they're still keeping those relevant, grounded themes involved in all of the fantastical storytelling. The visceral takedown of corporate media, and because as much as it's about are these heroes, is this what heroes would be like if people would be like if they had superpowers? It's also about, how long would it be before that thing is commodified and sold for, millions of billions of dollars, and in across industries, defense and all the other types of industries. So, it's been good. And every edition that they've made, it's been good. This season, they got Valerie Curry as Firecracker. And she's kind of like she will be kind of like the Tommy Lauren, that, like one of those conservative, like always angry, always spitting in the mic, everything is a conspiracy theory. She's really good at that, and you could tell she's having fun with the role. Susan Hayward is who some of you may know from Powers. That like that. There's a show on PlayStation, I think, science fiction hero type show. She plays Sage, or Sister Sage, who is the smartest person in the world. She's a really good addition to the cast as well. And everybody else has just been extremely well in what they've been given. All of the characters are at their lowest point. In the last couple episodes, you don't know which way that things are going to shake with the boys after episode 6. Butcher's at his lowest point. He's, this season he's dealing with the fallout of having taken Compound V in season 3. And then Huey's dealing with issues that he's having, and same with Starlight. I do want to say one thing, and I sent this to you guys. Butcher's dialogue is just unlike no other. I mean, and Kripke and his team of writers have fun with writing the lines for these actors, and you can tell that some of it is them and some of it is the actor just like taking it and running with it. There's an exchange with Butcher and Starlight, and she's like, he's like, wow, on basis. She's like, I don't know, because you killed a dude and I'm getting blamed for it. And he's like casually hanging his coat, and he's like, I call you a cunt, but you don't got the warmth or the depth. And I'm like, what? That's it's insane. Like this writing is like off the chain. They hold no bars.
And they're having a lot of fun.
That is a very Butcher thing to say.
Yeah, exactly. And they're having a lot of fun with it. Like, that's the one thing too, where it's like we've got to a good point where like he casually uses the word cunt, which is a faux pas in normal media these days, but it's part of his character and it's expected, honestly.
In America.
Yeah, exactly. And in this particular line, I think I like the way it was phrased, because it doesn't associate it with the way that the insult is normally used, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So wrapping things up for the boys, like we have a couple episodes left, and then we have a full season. I mean, they've pretty much been hitting in all cylinders in terms of what they've been kind of presenting, the characters they've got in. You know, they've kept the level of gore and mature aspect of it. You know, it's like every time you think they got a little too violent, they push a little bit more.
Oh yeah, and the sexual sadism is off.
Oh, 100%. And it was comedy because even with Homelander's obsession with like breast milk and all that kind of stuff, and that scene with Firecracker, I was laughing because I was sitting there. I'm like, are they gonna do it? I think they did it. Not bad.
And they did it. and again, Anthony Starr is great in his performance as Homelander. He goes from being super scary, psychotic to pathetic, just lost pup in the woods, and he does that just boom, just like that. I mean, it has to be amazing to work on that set. Like I said, if I was on set and Butcher delivered that line, Carl Urban delivered that line the way he did, they had to have shot that at least 10 times because people were laughing on set, and he just had to keep doing a couple takes. And the same with Homelander. It's like and everybody they have so much fun with writing these characters, and they have not failed each character yet. And that's something we've seen time and time again with a lot of stories, a lot of shows, where by the time you get to your end game, you now written yourself in some kind of corner where you just start throwing plot bombs into your character spaces, and now they're acting like they didn't just go through a journey for the last whatever it's been. So.
You hear me, Discovery? Just kidding. Low bar.
Well, that's not necessary. That's not necessary.
All right, so we talked about the boys. We'll transition a little bit into House of Dragon. Again, House Dragon season 2. It's a little shorter than the last season. It's even crazier. Is a better way to put it. It's one of those things where like you're not. I laugh that the marketing is like, which house do you vote for, and blah 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 blah, and you're like, actually no, everyone sucks. Like everyone from top. There is not. You know what? The Starks. Kragan Stark is cool.
He's the only Stark that was ever cool. All the rest of those Starks suck.
Yeah. Other than that, like, yo, everyone in this show fucking sucks, and they all need to die. Like, it's pretty much that. Like, every time I watch it, I'm like, you suck. You're a horrible person. Why did you do it? Do we even need to go to war? Why are we going to war? You know what? Let me stop.
Yeah. And that's again the strength of the storytelling is that it's not, you look at these choices that they're making and you see the alternative, and it's not that it's a writing mistake or anything. It's left there for you to say. Rhaenyra, she leaves the set after having this conversation with Alicent in the 3rd episode, and she realizes that there's only one. If she wants her throne, there's only one way to get it.
She's going to take it now. Yep.
Yeah, and so she has a choice. She could say, you know what? I'm not about to burn around. Viserys wouldn't want that. Jaehaerys wouldn't want that. I'm going to be a wealthy woman for the rest of my life. My children will be wealthy for the rest of their lives, and so on and so forth. I'm still a princess. I'm still a part of the royal family, and I still have like several dragons. If I want to, I can go across the narrow sea and conquer. I'm just saying that you see the choice, and she chooses the other side. So, yeah, there will be consequences. And the same with Aegon. The same way,
but also
he chose to take his sister's throne. So now he could have went the other way. He could have hopped on Sunfire, flew across the narrow sea. They never heard of him again. But he chose to sit that Iron Throne and accept that. So now here we are.
But the flip side of that is Rhaenyra at least partially buys into the story that Viserys sold her about, the prince who was promised, and she bought it. She bought into it. So it was she didn't buy into it like, oh, this is mine and I'm going to take it and da da da. It was more like, no, my father told me that this has to be me. You know what I mean? So I think in that regard, she has a little bit more going on than just avarice or just, oh, it's my blood right. Like, no, my daddy told me a story about how I'm supposed to be the one to sit that throne. So it's a good point. Yeah, so she takes it more as a responsibility because she didn't want it in the beginning. You know, she was like, nah, I'm not trying to, come on, get out of here with that. Once he told her the story.
I wouldn't say that she didn't want it. I wouldn't say that she didn't want it. I would say that she wasn't thirsty for it. That's what I would say.
Right. She didn't want to do the things that were necessary to prepare her. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. With Aegon and Rhaenyra, excuse me. My impression from the movie, not reading the books, Aegon just wanted to smut with wenches, and he was put in a position to be king because of the political strife that was going on. Because in the beginning, he didn't technically want it. And D, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm just using a little tongue-in-cheek here. But also, the funniest part was the last episode in the set where Allison realized she got that whole message wrong, and Rhaenyra looked at her like, excuse my French, bitch, you got me fucked up. He's like, we going to war because you thought this? And I thought that was hilarious.
That was great. That was great. Great storytelling. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't in the source text, so that's something that they created, and I think they did it well. I think a lot of people weren't giving them a lot of flexibility in season 1 to set up where the major payoffs are going to occur in this season, and probably the third, which will be the last season. At the pace that they're going, I can't see them doing more than another 10 episodes, possibly 13, if they need a couple extra. But you saw that Rhaenyra took the responsibility serious. She was thinking more about Aegon's prophecy, which is A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the name of the Game of Thrones series overall. That's kind of a theory amongst book readers that Aegon did that for that reason, but nothing that George R. R. Martin has laid out has confirmed that. But I would assume, since that theory was already out there and he's working on the show, that, said that, yeah, this is why Aegon actually conquered the Seven Kingdoms. It wasn't about wealth or anything like that. He happened. Because the thing about the Targaryens, and especially the ones who were so close to Illyria, is that they do have certain magical abilities. The thing that what you saw in the last episode where Daemon, they shot that to show you the supernatural aspect of it, because he wasn't laying down. He wasn't in his bedchamber sleep. He was just standing there, and he had a vivid dream, a vision, and he pulled himself out of it, which is to say that, again, these Targaryens, especially Daemon, know of certain Valyrian arts and things that, so most people would be freaked out by that. But you saw he just kind of shook it off and kept going. It's like he had that moment of doubt, but, it doesn't affect them because that family line has magic in it. By they can control dragons. So, there it is.
Can I ask a question to the House of the Dragon experts? What's two questions actually? Well, I can't even think. Rhaenyra's husband. What's his name again? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Her the one person that she married before Daemon?
No. Daemon. Excuse me. Will he ever respect her rule? And my second question is more along the line. I'm curious if you guys can give me additional insight on the Black Targaryen, the guy he met at the port. What's the story with him? If we can get a little preview into what may or may come. The boy
talking about Alan. That's all. That's the only thing they revealed. So
Yeah, it was him and the guy.
I can't really say anything about that relationship without spoiling what's to come.
Okay.
Just know that obviously they gave him a name in that scene, so that was significant. And they showed us his point of view before Lord Corliss walked up. So he will be somebody that we'll see appear, and he and his brother will play. That's what I'll tell you. They both play a significant role in events to come. But yeah, I can't say more than that without spoiling future events.
And the previous question, does Daemon ever respect Rhaenyra's rule?
Well, Daemon's issue in the magnification of that is, again, something that I think the show created in a good way to really show that's always kind of been something that's lingering in these families, like the resentment, because people compare, this story has really been about the second sons and the ones that are not meant to be the heir apparent, whether it be Sir Otto, who was the second son. The reason he pushed that ambition and wanted his daughter to be queen and his grandson to be king, and to have grandsons, granddaughters, princess and princesses to be in that family. They said in season 1, he doesn't stand to inherit anything that he doesn't, take on his own. So he's not like Tywin Lannister. Tywin Lannister was his father's heir. Tywin Lannister always knew that no matter what, he would have the power of the Westerlands behind him and the riches of the Lannisters. Whereas this guy is at the mercy of his brother, of his Lord brother. And so he ingratiated himself with the Targaryen dynasty. Lord Corliss was trying to do the same thing. He just wasn't doing it he wasn't taking the same tack because he couldn't. As the hand of the king, Otto had an advantage, and he used it. But that's across the board. Daemon is a second son. To go back to your question, and I think that they're thematically sort of supercharging his issue. He kind of got over it after the Stepstones, and he legitimately did care for Rhaenyra, and he accepted her rule. But the thing about Daemon, and you see it, is that Daemon is mercurial and he's fleeting. Like there are things that interest him, and once they no longer interest him, he abandons them. He did that with his wife from the Vale. He did it with Lena. He did it with he's doing it with Rhaenyra. When he gets to a certain place, he just kind of hops on Caraxes and fucks off. Like that's been his thing.
I got 2 follow-up questions to you guys too. Well, not a question, but one is an observation. Who's Aegon's little younger brother or older brother's name? The eye issue?
The younger brother. So this has been my one problem with the show to this point, is they had that line of dialogue that was totally exposition of Darion Targaryen, who is, yes, he is the youngest son of Alicent and Viserys Targaryen, and he is the youngest brother of Helena, Aegon, and Aemon.
Okay.
We didn't see him at all in season 1. They did not mention him in season 1. And that's why I thought originally that he wasn't going to be included at all. And then, they said that, yeah, he would be included. I said, okay, well, maybe when it opens, we'll get a scene of him at Old Town and studying or whatever. But no, we just got
And the brother that lost his eye, he's the oldest?
No, Aegon is the oldest. That's why he was made the heir.
So I'm going to say this. Aegon is a bully to his brother we see on. He's the biggest bully of his brother.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that until that scene in the brothel. And I said, you know what? He's been like this since I started watching this show. He's always been that guy. And then I'm going to say this about this season and last season on House of Dragon. I haven't fallen in love with a character, but I do hate a character, and I do hate Sir Christian Cole.
Yes.
Everybody hates Christian.
Everybody,
You're gonna hate him even more. Just prepare to wish him death.
I was waiting to get to him. Yep.
But I'm gonna go back. Like, I have not fallen in love with no character, and that's to just say because I have some intuition about how this is gonna go into this, how this is gonna end. And it's not a good or bad thing. I just have cared for too many characters to be like, I like this character.
Oh, yeah.
I do hate Sir Christian Cole. That is 100%. And Otto Hightower was second. I was not digging him because he was.
Yeah, no, those are the two most hated characters from the source text because those are literally the two uncontested villains of this story in terms of what they do and why they do it. Kristen Cole is known as the Kingmaker because before Alicent, before Sir Otto, before anybody, he goes to Aegon and convinces him to take the throne. And the way he does that in the source text is he tells Aegon that Rhaenyra will kill him and all his kids if he doesn't. In the TV show, they kind of gave that line to Alicent. Another line they gave to Alicent was Aegon's line when she first comes to him after Viserys dies. He's with a woman, 2 or 3 in bed, and he's like, I'm not interested. He's like, you would have me steal my sister's throne? No. And then Kristen Cole comes around and convinces him. So he is, again, there's not a surprise that everybody across the internet in the world hates Kristen Cole because he is designed to be hated in that way because he's a knight. He is the subversion of the knight in shining armor, of the chivalrous knight, of the person with a high moral code, because he puts that mask on, but then he breaks it in the next breath. And then he's always looking for a way to absolve himself. So he's the perfect antagonist for this story.
He's the worst. He's such a bitch. But no, he's the worst at upholding his moral code because he's been breaking it every episode.
Yeah. Now, but that he broke it with Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra told him, the truth. She was like, "No, I can't give you what you want. I am a seeing of House Targaryen. I'm a dragon rider. You are nothing. Like you were just a moment because Daemon passed her up, and that's literally how she looks at him. Notice Rhaenyra hasn't mentioned him. She hasn't talked about him. She doesn't care about him, and that's the one thing that they got right from the source text is that Rhaenyra, after his beef with her, she was living his head. He didn't care. She didn't care at all about him.
Can I talk to Sir Christian Cole? Some point the camera at me. Okay, so
Christian.
Yeah, Sir Christian Cole, brother. If you'd have just kept it player and just been the side piece to Rhaenyra, you'd have been okay. But no, you had to go hate and get in your feelings instead of being play about it. Now that you're not a play about it, now you're over here flip-flopping and playing the part, and now you're the most hated. Your own crew don't even respect you. You walking down the stairs, they looking at you crazy. You got some brothers killed. So from one podcaster to the Kingsguard, keep it player. Mac can move on, brother. Don't get caught up on one. Queen, there's other queens out there in the kingdom, brother. Just keep it player. You the down low dude. Keep your cape clean, player. Mac,
yo, I gotta say, he got greedy. He got greedy.
Look, you keep getting promoted.
Got greedy,
and now every bad deed he gets a promotion.
To the point about him getting promoted, I love the scene where it's very clear that he realizes he's in over his head, his hand to the king, and he started sort of standing there before the council meeting like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? And then somebody comes in and then somebody pops into the room like, yo, they're waiting for you in the small council meeting, and he sort of stands to attention like, all right, snap out of it. Like that was a great scene because and it makes you hate him more because he's self-aware. He knows that he's in over his head. He knows that he's doing.
He's aware of all the things that he does. Even when as he told Sir Eric, all of that stuff, he was talking about himself, and he knew that, and he understands now though, and this is the beauty of the storytelling, because the institution of the Seven Kingdoms, you see what it does to individuals like that. This is a person who comes from nothing, who has been observing these highborn people and observing how they, when they have power, they do what they want, regardless of what the truth is. You know, he knows that he was wrong in sending Eric to try to kill Rhaenyra, but he doesn't have to apologize to anyone but the queen. But the king. So, you know, ultimately, it makes him an even worser individual, even worse.
Oh, absolutely.
One final question. So when Daemon goes to Harrenhal in the last episode, finds the kingdom empty or castle empty, there was a conversation between Daemon and the head guy talking about he disowns the Strongs. Could you give us a little more intel about that? Because obviously the whole Strong and Rhaenyra and how they soiled the name, but Larys, I think there was something against Larys Strong, who was the Whisperer, kind of the second hand of the king. Like, he was like, I disown these dudes, and I'm not tripping. You know, I swore my fealty to them. Is there any... Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He was talking about Larys Strong, we've seen being sort of the Varys of this story, the spider in King's Landing. And he's an interesting character, and you'll see things. But he, in season 1, you remember, or maybe you remember, but his dad and his brother, the one that actually, Sir Horan Strong, the one that Rhaenyra is accused of having, he's apparently the real father of her children. Those two were murdered in Harrenhal in order to pave the way for Viserys to get Grace or Otto back, which is what Alicent. And so they knew that because, as he said, Harrenhal is always damp because it's a blasted ruin since Aegon the Conqueror came and lit it on fire with Valyrian. And that's the whole thing, is that Harrenhal is cursed. Every so many years that castle is awarded to the family, whatever family gets it, usually they're lying hens after a faction, by just various different things. And that was one of the things I loved about the visual aesthetic, and the difference between these writers and makers and the Game of Thrones is that these folks are capturing the visual palette of modern world, and how dark and utterly, in some corners of it, it's the inverse of Middle Earth. You know what I mean? Like in Middle Earth, there's hope. This is the opposite of that. Harrenhal was a castle that was supposed to be the biggest and mightiest in Westeros until Aegon the Dragon came and roasted. And so, George R. R. Martin's stories and histories are littered with that type of irony where, again, but as a result, that castle is dark and grim, and at nighttime it's hard to, light a fire. And so that visual, just like with the Iron Throne, and it looks more like the way he described, asymmetrical, ugly, jagged, sharp edges that cut. That you look at the Game of Thrones Iron Throne, it looks nothing like. It looks like a Iron Throne, but it looks like something that's like really polished, and that's not the way that looks. So the visual is still good, and they're doing a great job of bringing that world together. I'll be curious to see how the dragon fighting affects that. That's gonna make or break the show.
Yeah, and like they have, I mean, again, their budget is ridiculous, so we all know this. But and there's only about 2 more episodes left, and for this particular season,
4. Well, including this.
Four.
There's 8 total. They're on their 4th tonight, so 4 more.
And then they're gonna do 1 more season confirmed. Is that already? We're in the.
It's not confirmed, but that was sort of George R. R. Martin's prediction, as well as the creators. They were like, they think they could get it done.
And then the book will come out when he's dead.
Probably 5 years after that.
Shout out to Yanni Rhaenyra making a guest appearance. Dope actor.
That was awesome, Millie Alcock.
Yeah, she's awesome. Josh, you got him?
2 things jump out at me. I have 3 if you count the Millie Alcock cameo. But it's just it. I love Matt Damon's performance. Matt Smith's performance. He is nailing the crap out of it. I called it when he was cast. I was like, I don't even know what his character is going to be, but I know he's going to body this thing. I send D'Angelo the same clip over and over of him wilding out in this one episode of Doctor Who, where he starts messing with his companions and he goes off. It's so great. And you saw shades of how he would play Damon in that one episode where he actually is not the happy-go-lucky doctor and he gets angry. But I love also how they keep twisting the screw on the irony of Rhaenys being passed up because she's very queenly. She's incredibly queenly. And she keeps giving Rhaenyra queenly advice. Like, yo, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to turn left here and you're going to have to actually put, rubber to the road, to give you 2 car analogies in one. You're gonna have to hit it at some point. Like, this is all cool that you're, bandying about with your council now, but there's gonna come a time where you're gonna have to go to war. Also, let me go to these fools in the council and remind these idiots that they have a queen and that's who they're addressing, and they would do well to not forget who they're talking to. But she plays it great. She plays the irony of having been passed up and having been groomed for all of this and knowing how to play all of this way better than Rhaenyra probably ever will. Well, at least that currently will ever be able to play the role of queen. They play her unsure. They play her, very much not having confidence. Even when she makes a decision, she's sort of like hemming and hawing about it. When she sent Damon to watch over the eggs and her 4 youngest kids at this point, I'm losing count.
So she sent Bela she sent Rhaena with the
right.
2 boys,
Rhaena,
on Viserys, Aegon, and Joffrey is being sent to the Vale.
Yes.
Joffrey is the last one by Laenor /
Right. So 2 kids going with Rhaena, and then 1 going to Vale. Right. Yes. But yeah, even with that, like, when she makes the decision and sends her off, even after she tells her, she's like, "Oh, I feel so bad." Like, she hasn't really embraced that aspect of making like hard decisions yet.
I think that's I just would challenge that for a second. I think that episode showed that her decision making is a lot more conscientious than others, in that we saw her having to make a lot of big decisions, and often said decisions that I think men in her position don't even consider. We saw that example in the first episode where she had to take that time to mourn, but Damon is like, I'm ready to fight, I'm ready to go and have knees bent, and Rhaenys is like, chill out. That's her son, man. They just told her son was killed in probably one of the most horrible ways, and also killed by her own brother and his uncle. Those things are are going on. And so in this episode, she has to make an even tougher decision after the failed assassination, which is in the middle of this war of secession that they know will get really bad, really, really bad. She has to send her children away, and she knows that, it's like it recalls that moment of, and I was thinking this as I was watching, because I was like, a lot of people probably didn't even think about it at the time. Remember the scene in Winter is Coming, or the next episode, where John and Ned, they meet on the King's Road right as John is heading toward the wall and he's going to King's Landing, and John asks about his mom, and Ned's answer is like, the next time we speak, we'll talk about your mom, okay? And then he rides off, and nobody, people didn't know, unless you had read the book or whatever, that that's literally the last time that the two of them would ever see each other. And because of all the conflict and the things, and of course, Ned being beheaded. So it's the same situation here where Rhaenyra is not sure if she'll see her children again, let alone if they'll live. And not just because something might happen to them, but she knows that if she's in the thick of it and she's killed, again, that's her children are being orphaned. She doesn't at all trust Daemon to be a father to them at all. Like, not for real. She trusts her stepdaughters more than she trusts Daemon at this point. She trusts Baela and Rhaena more than she trusts them. And I think you saw that was tough, but it was a queenly call. She had to ask Rhaena to make that sacrifice. And she knew that it hurt Rhaena. But she couldn't coddle her in that moment because the time for coddling was over. They don't have that luxury.
Yeah, I would say the other thing too is it's like House of Dragon is interesting because it legit is like your like daytime soap opera, but then there's blood, guts, boobs, and dragons. like literally the level of like this person and the sister of this and the brother of that and the son of this and this person sleeping with this person, and like it literally has the same gravitas of like All My Children, General Hospital. Like,
yeah, a lot of incest. I mean, think about the different roles. All of them are at least 3 different relations to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Ew, brother, ew, yo, for real. And we're all just like, yeah, sure, why not? That works.
Yeah, go House Targaryen. Even though again, my uncle is also my brother-in-law, who's also my 5th cousin on the father side, and I just happen to be his uncle.
Yep.
So it's like that.
So we'll wrap it up, and we've got 4 more episodes left of House of Dragon, and possibly another season just to kind of do it. But so far, like I said, it's one of those things where every episode is just insane, and you're just like, all right, I'm around for the ride, and we'll go see where it all ends up. So for everyone's final word, it doesn't have to be on the House of Dragon or the boys, but chime in wherever you currently watching. Josh, what's your final word?
I would say my final word is I've been really busy lately. I have not really been watching much except Acolyte. And that one episode just keeps jumping out. We were talking about it before we started recording. It's that one episode, episode 5. Episode 5, and I said this several times to D'Angelo because I watched the episode several times. It's that good. But I think if there was a better setup, so George Lucas did a great job. You can say whatever you want about how he wrote, I guess. But he infused a lot of emotion into those films, and there was always an emotional buildup to whatever the lightsaber battle was. And this just, if that was present here, this show could have gone down as one of the all-time, like one of the few great things that has happened since that man sold to Disney. And instead, it just ends up being a really good standalone episode. The saber choreo on that thing is just, I want to say, the best since the prequels. And the prequels the first one and the third one specifically have some of the best saber choreography that best sword fighting period, just grander scale, that I've ever seen committed to American film. Cam has me now qualifying things, I have to say American film as opposed to all of film in general, because you'll beat me on Point Straight or something else that has better choreography, and remind me that that there are things out there that are made foreign that eclipse most things American. So I will qualify it by saying American. But yes, that episode, oh my, like, I almost want people to just, even if you anticipate not liking the show, just watch that one episode. It's so good. Like, it's non-stop. It from pretty much the beginning of the episode, I'd say 3/4 of the episode is all lightsaber battle. And it's all just minty looking. So good. Such good choreography. I can't say enough. Like, okay. I really wish it was better. Really wish the show overall was better, because it would have heightened the stakes and the emotional gravity of all, like, what, 5 lightsaber duels that happen in that thing.
Nice. I'll go. So on the request of one Josh, as the listeners know, I am a Star Trek fan. I've watched every episode of every series of all time. And Discovery has just wrapped their final season. I've been slacking on it. The last two seasons have been really trying, is the best way to put it. But a gift happened to us, and Star Trek Prodigy, the cartoon by Nickelodeon, dropped all their episodes. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to watch Discovery episode 1, and I'm going to watch Prodigy episode 1. Let's see what happens. I watched Discovery. Discovery episode 1, not bad. Cool. Go Sonequa. It was action packed. It was entertaining. They got a good new character that automatically, just gives a little bit new life into it. Same tropes that we're annoyed with, but your favorite characters are back. Okay, episode 1, I'm in. This is cool. You're bringing me back in. I feel it. Then I watched Star Trek Prodigy, a kid show, by the way. And after one episode, I was like, I'm gonna stick with this. And I burned through like 12.
Wow.
Purely because it's fun. Character development is great. It's a spiritual successor to Voyager, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. We have some favorites back. The voice acting is great. And it's just fun. Like all the characters you actually care about. The things that I annoy me about Discovery about, I don't know anybody on the bridge. Black dude number 1, black dude number 2, Asian chick, freaking cyborg chick, blonde girl. Like, I don't know anyone on the bridge. I don't care. On Prodigy, I know every single character on that crew, why what their motivation is, where they came from, what they're trying to do, all these cool things, and they expand on it on this season. And it's just like a breath of fresh air where you just really enjoy. You're like, I really enjoy every episode. It's fun. They even shift from their almost like prototypical protagonist character to one of the other characters who's actually more layered and more fun. But it just, again, going back to storytelling, it's just fun storytelling, and you enjoy watching it. It's entertaining. I will go back to Discovery and finish it per Josh, but I'm going to finish up Prodigy just because, like, I'm really enjoying it, and it's just fun Star Trek. And I think it's something that, again, we go back to Young Justice and the DC EU, and it's just like, when the cartoon can do you better than the live action, someone needs to be fired or replaced.
Nowadays DC is starting to slip, but to your point, they definitely they better watch it, because Marvel fired a pretty big salvo with X-Men 97.
Big facts.
I'm going to talk about it. I started watching Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths yesterday, and I couldn't finish it. I feel really bad.
No.
I feel really, really bad.
So bad.
But
Cam, it's not good. We'll talk after. We'll talk after. We'll talk after. Cam, what's your final word?
I've just been watching. Here's 3 animes that, if you're not knowing, you should know about. Kaiju number 8, blitzed through that. The reason I stopped on it is because I was fresh off of watching Godzilla minus 0. Is that what it's called? Godzilla minus 0 or minus 1. But I thought this had something to do with Godzilla. No, but it has something to do with monsters. Very interesting animation. Check that out. That's on Crunchyroll. Another one on Crunchyroll. If you've been watching or you're in the know, Demon Slayer last episode was stupid fire. The animation or production company who was behind the animation have been up and ante since the what do you call it?
The movie?
No, since the the red light district arc, whatever that arc is with the ninja. That fight scene was like one of the best fight scenes. Now we talking about fight scenes in anime. Demon Slayer probably has one of the best fight scenes. Go check it out. And this last episode, because the next 3 are going to be movies.
Yeah, I heard they're going to finish it off with a trilogy of films.
Trilogy of films has been on fire. So Demon Slayer on Crunchyroll, go check that out. And then one on Netflix called Delicious and Dungeon is another animation, which is, it sounds weird. It's intriguing, but it's super interesting, super funny, kind of dark, but not as dark as other animes that are expected in that kind of genre. So check those 3 out. Kaiju number 8 is the hottest thing out right now. Demon Slayer, watch all of it up to the most recent episode, which is stupid fire. And Delicious and Dungeon, check that out on Netflix.
Delicious and Dungeon?
Yep.
That's
it sounds funky. Sounds funky.
Wow. Okay.
Watch it. D'Angelo, before we get out of here, you do have to watch Scavenger's Reigns. Get to that.
That was dope.
Oh yeah, that's on my list.
Yeah,
my list. It's in my queue.
Yeah, that was dope. That was really, really dope. Really dope out of nowhere, and like really high quality stuff. Like that was really, really dope. All right, well, fellas, that was great. Everyone, thanks for listening to us rant about these 2 shows. Yeah, it's been fun. I think there's more to come. I think these things will be really interesting, and I'm glad that we just have I like that we're in an age of TV right now that is literally there's so much on that we have to pick and choose. And so it's a good thing, actually, completely good thing. So with that, this is Blerdlines, and we out.